Today, we are going to talk about AudienceAnywhere and some of the newest tools and tricks that the software has available to professional tier users. My name is Dino Parada, and I'm the Product Development Manager for the AudienceAnywhere software. And I will be taking you through this tour today. So when you log into AudienceAnywhere, you log in immediately to this dashboard page. And today we're going to focus on the newest functionality for the Pro tier. So to start out, we're going to start by looking at the standard tier functionality in Site Analytics as our bridge into the new Pro tier settings. So for those of you that are already subscribing to the standard tier or basic tier, you have access to understanding the domestic consumer traffic in AudienceAnywhere at a site level, at a domain level. So when you log in and come to the site analytics section, you see 915,000 unique visits. This is inclusive of all foreign and bot traffic, and domestic traffic is 98% of that number. When continuing down, may be focused on just what consumers or what businesses came to your website. So when we look at more consumer information, here's where we start to get our more granular view on the consumers that came to our demo website over the last 7 days. So here we have now 416,000 unique visits. So that's substantially lower than the total visits that came to the whole website. But that's because those are the visitors that we were able to resolve in the Claritas proprietary ID graph to a residential consumer. And we're able to provide additional demographics on those consumers in the standard tier tool. However, what we're introducing today is the professional tier, which allows you to view your website traffic through the lens of Claritas's syndicated segmentation systems. So you'll be able to discover the top segments that came to your website and get additional demographic information on those visitors. So in the Pro tier, you'll see now in the Insights section, the segment distribution. This is the new section we've added for the Pro tier. So when I click on this, I now see 389,000 visitor households have been matched to a Prism Premier segment. So you can see that this is a subset of the total consumers that we had, which was in the 400,000s. This is a subset. So of those 400,000, these are the ones that we were able to geocode and place one of the Claritas segments to the household level. Okay, so looking at the segment distribution module in the Pro tier, you're now able to understand how your traffic breaks down to a Claritas segmentation system. So the 389,000 visitor households have matched, and there were 600,000 visits by those visitor households. So what that means is of the 389,000 visitor households, most of them came back to the site more than once to give you your total. On the left rail here, you're able to choose which Claritas segmentation system you view your traffic view. So we have Prism Premier, which is the Claritas lifestyle segmentation system, Cycle Premier, which reports on segmentation based on financial behaviors, and Connections, which is technology behaviors. As you see, when you come through here, there are orange bars lit up immediately, and you have first selected as a default the top 5 segments. If we change that view to say the top 10 segments, this lets you know which Claritas segments were your top segments for that period of time. So if we change the date here and look at the last 30 days, we'll see probably different segments light up because there's more traffic, and there's probably going to be a slight difference in your top segments. So this gives you the ability to see if you're running an ad campaign and pushing people to your site over just the last 7 days. You might be interested to see which segments came to your site over that period. And after the pixel is placed, you can go back to up to 90 days to view your site traffic. So let's stay focused on the last week. There are a lot of options here. So if you hover over one of the orange bars or any bar, you can see the name of the segment, the number of the segment, and the percent of the household visitors that comprise that segment. So I can see here that our top 10 segments are Country Squires, Cruise into Retirement, Middleburg Managers, Pools and Patios, Tool Belt Traditionalists, Multi-Culti Mosaic, etc. This will allow you to understand which segments are your top segments and activate those across various channels using the Claritas ad delivery team to help you reach those in their mailbox, in their email box, showing them display ads, or on social media. We also have the measure box here, the drop down, which can show you a different view of the same segment. So if we click from visitor households, this is the pure percentage of the total traffic that came to your site. However, a lot of Claritas current customers like to view this measure by the index, and the index offers you a slightly different view. An index of 100 is a completely normal index. That means it's no more likely than average hit on your website for that segment to come based on the national average. But what's powerful about the index is when the index is over 100, it's say an index of 170 or 173. That means they are 1.7 times more likely than just any random person to come to your site. So let's see if we dial that to 30 days if we have any more. So 1.74 times more likely for Second City startups to be one of your top groups that you might want to target with advertising, or certainly are coming to your site at this point. So that might be a segment you would want to activate across those channels, as it's indicated that they are the top ones coming to your site. The index is a little bit different than the straight percentage of total website visitors, because the index takes into account the percentage of the household visitors that you're seeing, but also what is the percent of US households that comprise that segment. So for Second City startups, it was only 1.72% of your total website visitors. However, it's only 0.99% of US households, which means it's a very small group that has a disproportionately large amount of traffic on your site, therefore giving you a higher index score. So here you can see where Pools and Patios has a higher percentage, or even here, Camos and Campers was 2.66% of your total household visitors. However, it has a higher percent of the total US households. So it's not as highly indexing of a target group for you, a target segment. So in this highest opportunity audiences table, we give you the name, the number, the percentage of US households, the percent of the total household visitors, the index, and for the number of segments that you have selected up top, so we were looking at our top 10 segments. The number of segments here are represented. So you have their top 10 segments, and we actually calculate the totals for this group as well. So if you were to target all 10 of these segments, you're targeting 13% of US households, which made up 19% of your total traffic. And it has an index of 152, so 1.5 times more likely to be interested in your goods and services above and beyond just the average casual viewer of your website. Similarly, you are able to look at all of your top segments. So if you're not interested in knowing just the specific segments, you can click all and see details for every single segment and what their index was, and understand better the order and the rank of each segment that came to your website. So in this case, it would not be very beneficial to do any kind of targeting to connected bohemians or domestic duos or simple pleasures, because you did not get that many, a very high percentage of household visitors that came to your site from those segments. And they're a small portion of the US population, and they have very low indexes. But what selecting all will do here is allow you to see all of the segment details and device details for your entire domain for those who were mapped to a segmentation system. So in the segment details tab, we provide additional demographics based on the consumers that are populated in those segments. So it's not the general segmentation consumer data that's provided as a stock option. This is actual people, actual visitors to your website that comprise those segments. So we can see here that the top age group that came to this site, 32%, 0.07% of the traffic came from the age range of 45 to 54. So that detail could help you target. If you're placing an ad, you might want to first understand which segments you want to target, and then if you have the option, depending on which channel, you might want to more heavily target the age range of 45 to 54 and 35 to 44, as that would comprise about 62% of your total traffic. We also provide other details such as household income, marital status, home ownership, whether they rent or own a home, and how long they've been in their home, as well as the top states that where the households originate that came to your site. On the media channel reach, we also give you an idea of how many people you can reach across the different channels that we just talked about. So if you look at your current traffic, you have 1.5 million visitor households that came to your site during this time frame, and we can reach 9 million of those on social media. We can have a total reach of 9 million display ads based on those households. Multiple people might preside in a household, so usually there are more people that we can reach beyond just the household number that is listed there. So if one household has 4 people in it, we're saying that you can reach up to 4 or 6 people per household in a display campaign, and that's why it's an exponential number there. Similarly powerful is if you want to just target a few segments. It's probably more powerful when we look at the tabs below. So if in this case, the top 3 segments are segment 30, 33, and 61. As I change the top segments here, it will update everything in the page below. So now in the highest opportunity audiences, we still see just the 3 that I have highlighted, what their indexes are. But you'll also notice on the segment details that the top 3 segments are now listed, and all of the age, gender, household income, marital status details now are reflective of those top 3 segments. So you can see when we change to just the top 3 segments, how your age breakdown changes ever so slightly, and now the top age group is 35 to 44. So if you wanted to target those top 3 segments and in that age range, you're more likely of hitting your best group, your best audience. So for example, if you wanted to learn more about segment 33 in the Second City startups, you can click here on the link we have to Claritas My Best Segments and click on segment details here. And you can see the listing of all 68 Prism Premier segments. And by clicking on the Second City Startups, which was our top segment from this example, you can see a lot more information about the segment itself. How many US households are in that segment, what's their median household income, some of their demographic traits. And the free version even gives you some insights into their lifestyle and media traits. So this segment is most likely to own a Mitsubishi and eat at Jack in the Box. The other powerful thing from this tool is to see the top indexing places in the country or the counties where these segments preside. So Manassas Park City has by far the highest indexing, so 14 times more likely to be segment 33 in this county compared to others. And you have a map that can show you, you can drill into it and it'll show you in the country, maybe you're interested in targeting nationally or locally, it'll tell you where those best customers, where those segment 33s live and how they like to consume media, and you can find them where they are. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of the targeting. But anytime you want to target those groups specifically, we have this click here to engage this audience, and you can just type in a subject line. I'm interested in targeting segment 33. And then you hit submit. And the message will be sent to the account manager assigned to your client account, and that can get the conversation started on the best ways to target that audience. Back to the segment details and device details. So we talked about how when you select the top 3 segments up top, you're able to see the details just for those segments, just for the people that are in those segments down here below. We also receive information from the Pixelfire on the type of device that the people that comprise these top 3 segments were on, they were using during the time they visited your website. So this can also help you in your targeting efforts. So device types, 64% of people came in on a mobile device, only 32% came on a desktop. So in that case, you might want to focus more on mobile ads for those segments. We also give a breakdown of the operating systems that were being used, so iOS versus Windows and Android, and the specific device models that were being used. So it looks like the top device to go onto this website with almost 37% of users were on an Apple iPhone. So as a takeaway, if you wanted to share this with your internal team, your marketing team, after viewing this, you can always download a report. And if you highlight both PDF and CSV file, it'll take a snapshot of the site as it is. And if I click download file here, it will give us a CSV that lists out all of the specifics that we just reviewed. But the PDF is a good takeaway if you need to print it out and take it into a meeting that tells you which website you were looking at, what time frame, and gives you all of the details we just looked at. So your segment details, the reach that you have, and then the device details are included in this as well. So it's a good download that you can take away and take it offline and share the insights with your internal team. We also have, and we'll go into another module, we'll go deeper on this on another training, another demo, but we also have the create audience button. So by clicking this and selecting create target audience at scale, this will port over these top 3 segments that we have highlighted right now into the AudienceAnywhere audience builder and allow you to further refine. So you'll start out in the audience builder with the top 3 segments here. So you'll start out with segment 33, 61, and it'll allow you to drill down farther to a specific target audience. So from the audience builder, you would also be able to say, I want to target those 3 segments, and I want them to be this age, and I want them to have this income, and I want them in the following states or zip codes. All of that is possible with the audience builder. And then you can save that audience again and send that to your account manager and talk to them about pricing for activating those specific segments and age groups and income groups all together. So what we've been focused on up until this point is looking at the traffic still at the domain level. So when we say the top 3 segments in the last 30 days, and we had 1.5 million visitor households that matched to a segment. Here we're talking about every single page in your domain. Depending on how the tag was placed, usually most people place this on the domain level, which is intended to track every page. Some advanced users also, say in the Google Tag Manager, will place the tag only on 3, 4, 20 pages, something like that. So this view of the dashboard would give you insights for every single page where the tag has been placed, whether it's on the domain or the selected pages. But if we want to get more granular insights about your most popular pages, then we can click here on the left rail. So under segmentation, you can click on most popular pages, and this gives you the total visits. So this is inclusive of every time a consumer came to that page and as a unique view, but also every time they came back, because that's going to factor into the popularity of the page. So here we have the articles about Honda in our demo account is the #1 most popular page over the last 7 days. So all of the same bells and whistles apply, but now instead of the domain view or total pages view, we have all of the information about a specific page. So perhaps you only placed it on a few pages where you are currently running ads that drive people to these pages, and you want to better understand the Claritas segments that came to those specific pages. So up top, we have the breadcrumbs saying that you're in the popular page view, and the highlighted bar here tells you which specific page you're on. From within this, you can still look at what are my top 8 segments when viewed as an index for just this page. And all of the details, so top 8. So you can look at a specific page and see how the age and income breakdowns and how the segments might even change for just that specific page. So if we go to the top 3 segments, we can see here, actually, the top 3 segments for this specific page are the same as for the domain in its entirety. So that gives you an even better idea that those are probably the segments that you're going to want to target. To go back to the popular pages, you can just use the breadcrumbs here or click back on the left rail. It takes you back to the list of the most popular pages. The popular page view lets you select up to 100 popular pages to see your top 100 pages in the domain. We've capped that at 100 because a domain can have thousands and thousands of pages. It would be just information overload. So we've limited it to the top 100 pages that have traffic. You can also search in popular pages. So I started to type in vehicle. Perhaps you wanted to see only the pages and what their total visits were that mention the vehicle detail, and you can select based on that. So let's go to this one. This is your top vehicle detail page. Again, if we go to top 3 segments, so now for this page, the segments have slightly changed, and it means that the viewers that were reading this article have changed in terms of the top segments for that. So you could research then on the My Best Segments website, what are the differences between these segments and how do you target them, and what's the best advertising copy to use when targeting those audiences. So popular pages, as I said, you can view up to 100 at once. But since this can be a large list and the total visits might change. So every time you come back to AudienceAnywhere, your top page might be different. But say there are a certain number of pages that you want to keep track of, regardless of whether they're in your top 10 or top 100. We've added this Add to Favorites button. So this will save the page into your favorites and allow you to quickly and easily go back to the favorite pages section and view information on those. So we'll just click a few here. And now these are saved. If I want to unfavorite, I just have to check it again. But we click onto it, and now in the favorite pages, we see that those top 3 pages for the last 7 days have been saved. And if I click into it, again, I go back to the dashboard. If I go back, I have the ability to remove favorite pages, resave the list. I can edit it again, type in vehicle, and start to add all of the pages that say vehicle as well. Just a faster way to save a list of your favorite pages. Okay, another powerful way to use the favorite pages is if you're running a campaign and driving people to specific pages. You can save those in your favorite pages lists and use them for reference. So on this one, if I wanted to come in and say we were running a campaign and the campaign was driving the user to a specific site, you would know those URLs that you have tagged in your media, and you could come in here and search for those and save them and easily view all of the different campaign hits at the same time. So on this one, if I saved all of the vehicle details, I can go and I would have the key to understand which campaign this was for and go into the dashboard and understand the traffic that we were getting based on a specific detail. If those ad campaigns change over time, your subscription allows you to come in and delete out and start over with the next set. Maybe you're wanting one for Jeep Grand Cherokee. You want to save that, and that's the only one you're interested in for this month. Well, you can save that as a favorite page, and when you come to popular pages, you don't have to come in here and search out that one page that you were interested in that you were driving traffic to. It's already saved in your favorite pages. The traffic that you're seeing is for the last 7 days, that the pixel has been active. The traffic numbers in AudienceAnywhere are updated twice a day, once around noon and once around 8 p.m. Eastern time. So if you've started a campaign and started to drive traffic towards any specific page in your domain, that page should be updated with the the best real-time counts we can provide, which is by the next day you'll start to see traffic on those pages. Okay, so another feature that has been implemented for the Pro tier subscribers is the ability to dictate which segments you would like to see on the consumer address download file. That is an option with AudienceAnywhere. So each account has the ability to receive 500 consumer addresses and 200 business addresses per month on your account. And this gives you the actual physical name, address of your website visitor or the website business or the business website that came to your domain. So this is found here, this setup is found in the icon here and settings. There's two areas here on the left rail for settings. So when your account is first created and you needed to deploy a tag, we have a tag setting here and you would click Generate Insights tag. This is the first part of the process that gets you up and running, which allows you to see all of the insights that were reviewed in the Pro tier dashboard. Furthermore, you can come into settings and update your consumer address file setup. So this allows you as a default, as I said, to have 500 consumer records. But if we hit edit, we can say, do I want those 500? Do I want a daily feed of addresses, of consumer and business addresses, people that came to my website sent to me? Or do I want it sent every week or every month? Assuming we want it every month, we can then specify the specific day of the month. So if I just placed my pixel today on the 22nd of October, I might want the file a month from now. So I'm going to select every 22nd of the month, I will receive a file. In the previous version, in the standard tier of AudienceAnywhere, the 500 consumer records that were received as a default on the account were from anybody that came to your website during that time period. So it was just a random 500 people. So if we look at the site analytics, and we look at the consumer traffic, if you had 424,000 consumers that visited your website over the last 7 days, then they would pick a random 500 of those and send you the addresses. With the Pro tier, we introduced additional settings here that allow you to receive better addresses for a more targeted audience that you might be interested in. So first you can decide whether you want the consumer addresses to be based on the percent of household visitors, or the index. As reviewed in the previous demo, your top segments might slightly differ if you're talking about your top 5 segments based on the index, or your top 10 segments based on just the straight percentage of household visitors. You can see as I change those, different orange bars for different segment numbers are lighting up even for the top 10. What this is saying is I want the index to be considered when sending me addresses of consumers that visited my site. And then you also have the option to choose, I want to see addresses from up to my top 5 segments or up to my top 10 segments, or if you were really just trying to get as many leads as possible, you could select all segments. So let's assume that you've selected a monthly delivery file based on the index and you're up to top 5 segments. What does that mean? That means if we look at this page and we select the last 30 days and you select the top 5 segments, that means you want the consumer addresses that are sent to you to only come from segments 33, 30, 61, 50, and 16. We will prioritize these top segments when sending you the addresses. So if you think about, only getting 500 and there's 1.5 million that were matched to a household, you're going to really want to target the best segments you have and get those addresses. When we say up to top 5 segments, that's because there could be a lot of data in any particular segment, a lot of visitors. Obviously, if they're your top segments, then there's a lot of data in there. So we will give you as many addresses as we can, and we'll start at the top and continue to backfill until your quota is met. So if you only have 500, you might meet your quota and only get your top segment before you reach the second segment. We might have already given you 500 addresses. So that's why it says up to top 5 segments. If you talk to your account manager, you can actually increase the quota you have on your account for consumer addresses. So say instead of the default 500, the first 500 you get for free with your subscription, but you can increase that amount to 100,000, 200,000, and pay an additional cost. And so you'll have to reach out to your account manager to understand the cost of increasing that quota on your subscription account. But it would allow you to receive more addresses and get more of your best segments in that file. And if you're not interested in dictating which segments, you can click all segments and it will be a random selection of addresses, any addresses of people that came to your site during the specified time period. So all you have to do is hit save here, and your audience file has been successfully scheduled. Okay, so after you've set up your consumer address file download settings, and 30 days has gone by, you can come to the Insights section, Audience Files, and the file will be available for you. So here you see this account has been set to 800 records and 300 business records. If I hit download, I get a zip file and it opens, and you will receive the consumer addresses and business addresses that came to your website during that specific time. This is head of household record only. No phone numbers are provided in this file. This is household addresses only. Okay, so if you're interested in learning more about Audience Anywhere and the new offerings in the professional tier subscription, feel free to reach out to your Claritas representative at 800-234-5973.